Hello, Realtors. Welcome to your SCR update. This is episode 362. As always, I'm your host, Nick Kremydas. I have a special guest with me today, Byron King, our General Counsel. Byron?
Thanks for hosting. Glad to be here.
Always. We are back from Washington, D.C., just having attended the National Realtor Legislative Meetings, RLM. We love our acronyms, right? The RLM meetings are NAR's annual Washington, D.C. meetings where we talk policy and issues with our congressional delegation. I'll have more on that in a few minutes. But also this year, there was a lot of discussion, a lot of action by the NAR Board of Directors regarding some very important changes. And today, we're going to give you a little update. So I'm warning you a little bit in advance. Mike, our director, our producer today has got, I think he's got the large capacity hard drive plugged in over there because this is going to be a little bit larger, a little bit longer update than normal. We've got a lot to cover. So, but before we jump in, I wanted to give a shout out to the love of my life, my wife, Pauline. We celebrated our 28th wedding anniversary this weekend. And I just wanted to give her a quick shout out. I know she's listening. So let's jump right in. So today I wanted to talk about some important changes to the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics. Last week when the NAR Board of Directors met, they approved some key changes related to Article 10. Now, Article 10 itself, which prohibits denying equal services based on things like race, religion, and gender identity, those things remain unchanged. However, there's been a significant update to Standard of Practice 10-5. This deals with harassment, and these new changes provide a clear definition of exactly what harassment means, aligning it with the existing NAR Member Code of Conduct. Also, the Executive Committee made a revision to the Professional Standards Policy Statement number 29. This focuses on ensuring that the Code of Ethics applies when realtors are acting in their professional capacity or in real estate-related activities. It's interesting to note that the NAR Code of Ethics continues to evolve over time. These changes reflect ongoing efforts to keep the language and intent clear and, more importantly, or maybe as important, to keep it enforceable. In fact, similar updates were made back in 2020 following the death of George Floyd, which helped address racial unrest and housing discrimination in our country. These recent revisions come after about a year of discussions aimed at making the code more sustainable and legally defensible while preserving the original intent of Standard of Practice 10-5. The changes, which were introduced by our very own Todd Beckstrom, he was the chair of the Professional Standards Committee at NAR, and he spoke at the Board of Directors meeting last week. These changes are effective immediately. NAR President Kevin Sears has emphasized the organization's commitment to fair housing and equal treatment for all consumers. So these updates are important for all of our realtor members. Number one, make sure you're aware of it, and it ensures that we are all aligned with our current ethical standards. Now, Byron, there was a lot of discussion at the Board of Directors meeting, probably the most discussed item at that meeting last week. And there was a few negative headlines in the media. What's your take on these changes to the code?
Yeah, I concur with you. A lot of lawyers were involved, NAR lawyers and NAR outside counsel. It kind of balances both sides. It clarifies Standard Practice 10-5 so that if you're saying bad things, discriminatory things, you can still get in trouble just like you could, but you can also still talk about your religion and still talk about politics and not worry about having a frivolous complaint filed against you.
Awesome. So in addition to the Code of Ethics, let's see what else the NAR Board of Directors reviewed last week. So let's start with the headline that impacts all of our members. For 2026, there will be no dues increase in the national or NAR dues. The board approved a budget that keeps dues at the current $156 level, and this is definitely welcome news, and it was achieved through some strategic financial moves, which I think is code for they cut the budget, right? And I'll get to some of those details in just a moment. On the leadership front, the 2026 officers were elected last week. A huge congratulations goes to Christine Hansen of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who will be the 2026 president-elect, and to Colin Milan from Ashland, Oregon. He steps into the role of 2026 first vice president. This means, Byron, I think that they'll be serving as president in the year 2400. I make a quick joke, but there's the ladder to NAR leadership is a long one. And we certainly are looking forward to Christine and Colin's leadership. Christine obviously is no stranger to South Carolina, having visited us many times over the past few years. And being from a coastal state like ours down in Florida, we share a lot of common issues. She understands our market. She understands our industry patterns, and definitely looking forward to working with her in the years ahead. Now let's circle back to the budget and how NAR is maintaining a balanced budget without a dues increase. The board has approved redirecting $35 of the current $45 consumer advertising campaign assessment to the operating funds. NAR CEO Nakia Wright and President Kevin Sears explained that this strategic shift will allow the association to make its next settlement payment in February of 2026. The remaining $10 from that assessment will still be dedicated to a more optimized and metrics-driven consumer campaign, focusing on engaging consumers in the markets where it matters most. 2 new PR hires were announced last week. I had an opportunity to meet both of them, and they are just part of the revamp that CEO Nakia Wright has accomplished over the last 12 months at NAR. All of the senior staff, probably with the only exception, Byron, being Lawrence Yoon, our chief economist, have either retired or stepped down or been replaced. The strategic hires, the visionary folks that have been put in place, I am confident that NAR has put together a team that's going to lead us into the future and avoid the mistakes of the past. Time will tell. They've got my confidence right now that they are doing the right things at the right time. And I've got to believe that Nakia was brought to our association for this singular purpose, to get us back on track as a national organization, and to right the ship and restore confidence that has been shaken or in some cases lost by our members. Looking forward to the new PR hires and what they're going to bring to the table. So to recap, no dues increase, a stronger and clearer code of ethics, and new leadership on the horizon. It was certainly a very busy and productive meeting. And of course, we'll be reporting to you on how these changes roll out. So let's drill down a little bit closer to home with our South Carolina folks that went to Washington. I know, Byron, you were a member of one of the teams that went to the Hill. What are your takeaways from our Hill visits this year?
Yeah, so the NAR staff talked about the big, beautiful bill, about how they kept the bad stuff out and good stuff for realtors in South Carolina in the bill. So we went to Capitol Hill, talked to our Congress members. They're very receptive. We talked about availability of housing, affordability of housing, and insurance issues in addition to those issues.
Yeah, realtors, I would encourage you to go to flyin.realtor. Mike, if you could put that in the show notes, you'll see a recap of the housing initiatives that NAR supported, the talking points that we used. And we were able to meet with every single one of our congressional offices. And, you know, for June in Washington, it was a little, well, it was warm, but the weather could have been a whole lot warmer for Washington, D.C. If y'all can imagine me in a seersucker suit, trying to stay cool, it was a chore, but we got it done. And I think 18,000 steps later, according to my Apple Watch, we accomplished our mission. We had a tremendous attendance from our Realtor members in South Carolina. And one of the highlights for our members at the Realtor NAR, these acronyms are killing me today, at the RLM meetings, NAR proudly inducted several truly exceptional leaders from South Carolina into the RPAC Hall of Fame. This special honor recognizes their great leadership and how much they've supported the real estate industry over their career. Their work has really helped make our profession stronger and better for everyone. So please join me in congratulating the newest members of the RPAC Hall of Fame. SCR past president Sandy Stone, SCR past president Jay Reinhardt, current SCR president Keon Aldridge, and I should have told you where they're from. So Sandy's from Charleston, Jay, of course, is from Rock Hill, Keon from my hometown in Florence. Next, we have Francine Powers from the Western Upstate Association of Realtors, Nell Folkens from the PD Realtors, Babette Fisher, who is from the Charleston Realtors, John Ost, who is with the Beaufort Realtors, and Carl Schroeder, who is with the Hilton Head Area Association of Realtors. Thanks to our Purple Shoes campaign, South Carolina was recognized as having the largest increase of major investors of any state in the country. That was a pretty cool honor. If you haven't seen our Purple Shoes, I was hoping to have a prop with me today. I forgot to wear mine today, but I did put a few miles in them last week. We had them on the Hill, and I tell you, every congressman, every staff person, strangers on the street were pointing at our Purple Shoes and going, "Cool shoes, guys." And it was even cooler once we were able to explain why we were wearing purple shoes, that we're not red, we're not blue, but we are the Realtor party that works toward purple solutions. You mix red and blue, you get purple. So that's why you see the purple color being everywhere this year. I'm even buying purple golf shirts now. That's how pervasive it's gotten. But I want to thank all the Realtors that were inducted into the Hall of Fame. Thank you for all your tireless work, your incredible commitment to the real estate community. We are forever grateful for your leadership. So this next segment, I'm calling it that we've got a seat at the big kids table. It's official. South Carolina Realtors, I should say, has got a seat at the big kids table. Last week, NAR announced that SCR was officially placed into the large state association category. And this milestone is a direct reflection of our growing membership, our sustainable membership, and our state's incredible success story. And it isn't just about the numbers. It's a testament to what you're witnessing every day, the boom happening right here in the Palmetto State. South Carolina isn't just growing, we're leading the nation. For the first time ever, South Carolina was named the #1 growth state in 2024, with migration growth far outpacing the national average. Our state's real GDP and personal income growth are among the fastest growing in the country, fueled by major investments in manufacturing, tech, and aerospace. And I know some people are complaining about this, but listen, I'd rather have this problem than the opposite. People are flocking to South Carolina. We saw I believe it was the third largest net gain from domestic migration in the U.S. People aren't just visiting South Carolina, they're planting roots here and building futures here. And this achievement belongs to every one of our members. Realtors, you're on the front lines. You're guiding new residents and businesses, and you're helping them establish a home right here in the Palmetto State. You're playing an incredible role in our state's unprecedented economic growth, and we're proud to represent, your SCR staff, are proud to represent a state that's not just outperforming the Southeast, but we're setting a standard for the entire country. So, pretty big moment for us. Did you get any comments on your purple shoes last week?
Yeah, lots of NAR staff were asking how they could get a pair.
Everybody wanted a pair of our shoes, and there's you got to talk to Lewis. There's a path to getting purple shoes, which involves RPAC. But check out our RPAC website, and Lewis can give you all the details on the purple shoes. I did happen to spot a certain a certain NAR staffer who, I won't mention his name, but I think it starts with a J and ends in a O. Harris. Joe Harris, Senior Vice President at NAR, was spotted wearing a pair of our SCR purple shoes around Washington last week, so that was pretty cool. Certainly, other states were wanting to not only copy our purple shoes, but when they saw the increase in major investors, they wanted to copy that as well. So again, lots of recognition, lots of positive recognition for SCR last week, which I can't help but brag about a little bit. So let's see, what do we got next? Oh, the rent is due. This is an interesting case. We're going to talk a little bit about one of the bedrocks of our business, private property rights. As a realtor, you know that the right to own and use and dispose of property is what makes our market, our industry possible. And you've heard me for years, realtors. We've told you that one of our top advocacy agenda items, one of the platforms of our advocacy, is defending private property rights. Now, there's a major battle in that fight that just reached a critical turning point. And I had to turn the Wayback Clock a little bit on this morning, Byron, when I was reading about this. But I know you all remember, I know COVID and all of those restrictions feel like a lifetime ago, but we're only talking 5 years ago, right? But you remember the federal eviction moratorium that was imposed by the CDC during the pandemic. Many of our members who are mom and pop property managers, investors, their clients, were placed in an impossible position, forced to provide housing without compensation while still having to maintain the property, pay taxes, pay the mortgage, and other fees that are associated with rental property. And from the very beginning, NAR argued that while the goal of keeping people housed and safe during the pandemic was certainly understandable, the CDC policy was a massive overreach that trampled on the constitutional rights of property owners. And now a federal court agrees that that argument has merit. A lawsuit that was brought by a group of landlords literally years ago against the U.S. government was given the green light to proceed. The government tried to have the case dismissed, but a judge for the U.S. Court of Federal Claims has denied their motion. Now, if these landlords win, we're talking billions and billions of dollars of possible punitive damages or claims under their argument. But let's be clear about what's at stake here. The lawsuit argues that the eviction ban was an unconstitutional taking of private property under the Fifth Amendment. Realtors, we understand that the bundle of rights, in law school they tell us about, the bundle of sticks that come with property ownership. One of the most important of those rights is the right to exclude. And that means an owner can prevent others from accessing or using their property without their permission. The judge in this case explicitly stated that it is plausible that the CDC's order destroyed that fundamental right. That doesn't mean that the judge ruled in favor of the landlords, just says, hey, you've got a right to your day in court, right? And I think this could be, appealed further. But for now, this is a win. Why do we consider this a win? Because this ruling affirms a core principle that we fight for every day, that government cannot simply shift the cost onto the backs of private property owners without just compensation. It validates the advocacy work that we've been engaged with for so many years, not only in Washington, but at our own state house as well. This case is far from over, as I mentioned, but it's still a critical victory. It ensures that property owners will have their day in court and the opportunity to argue that their constitutional rights were violated. This is why your membership matters. This is why RPAC matters, why your investments are so vital. We are constantly monitoring these threats, and we'll continue to engage with lawmakers and support legal challenges that protect your ability to do business. Because this is the way you stay informed, we stay informed, and we will keep you informed every step of the way. Your rights are certainly our mission. Please always learn more about these advocacy efforts. Again, go back to flyin.realtor and you can see what current legislative initiatives are. So I think the final thing, I know we're getting long on time. Mike, how are we doing on time? I guess it's unlimited, right? We can go on forever. It depends on how long you want to listen to us. But while in Washington last week, we learned a little bit about a new, and you know, it's like we needed something else to worry about, but there's a new scam, a crypto scam that apparently is all the rage with the scammers these days. Byron, do you want to give us a quick overview of what this new scam is called and what it looks like?
Yeah, definitely. So the risk management, the Secret Service came in and gave us, and in Chinese language, it sounds very eloquent, but in English, it's called the pig butchering scam. And so the idea of pig butchering is you want to fatten up the pig before you butcher it and make bacon and hams out of it. So what these crooks will do is they will contact realtors, listing agents, and they'll brag about how rich they are, how much money they made on crypto, how their system's perfect. It's a can't lose situation. Hey, listing realtor, I could make a lot of money for you overnight. Give me a little bit of money and I'll show you how much I can return to you quickly. So the realtors, some of the realtors will fall for the scam. They'll give them some money. The crooks use their own money to trick the realtor, right? So they'll give them some more money and the realtor's like, oh, I made a lot of money. Why don't I empty out my life savings out of the bank account, give it to this person, and I'll make even more money? And then that's when the crooks strike, the con artists strike, and they keep all the money and disappear. And then Secret Service said they launder the money through crypto from Bitcoin to Ethereum to stable coin, so it's untraceable, and they can't claw it back, and the money's gone to the crooks.
Yeah, and how this is different than some of the current, like the land scam things that we've been dealing with for the last couple of years, is that this is a long-term scam. This isn't something that happens in an email or in a text. But these scammers are an expert at building relationships with you. They take their time. They're not going to be pushy. They're going to build trust. And like Byron said, eventually they're going to get to the point where they offer you the ability to kind of to invest in their get-rich-quick scheme, right? It doesn't come off like that, but they'll actually send you some money. So the way the Secret Service described this to us is what they've seen is they'll convince the realtor, and so far they told us last week 40 realtors across the country have fallen for this. Not to mention the dozens and dozens and dozens of others that have also, anyone that's in a kind of high-profile public figure job, which is what you do every day, it could be subject to one of these scammers. But they build your trust. They get you to initially invest $500 or $1,000, and they give you a quick return. Maybe they've seen examples of $4,000 or $5,000 where they'll actually send that money or make it available to the victim. The victim then obviously has built this trust. They've seen this quick and easy return, and that's when they go all in to get the big score, to get the big win. And at that point, the pig is sufficiently fattened, and the scammer goes in for the kill and disappears with their 401k savings, life savings, whatever they've invested at that point. This, as AI continues to evolve realtors, we're going to see more and more of these sophisticated type scams that pop up. Stay alert. The Real Estate Commission just issued a fraud warning newsletter that helps you identify fake driver's licenses, which I thought was a fantastic resource. Please share that and use that in your offices. Be aware of these other scams that are happening. We'll do our best to continue to communicate these to you so that you stay on top of them and that you can communicate these with your offices. The FBI has an internet crime website. I believe it's ic3.gov. Mike, if you could include that in the show notes as well. And a great resource and a great place to report any suspicious activity. The old rule of thumb, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is, I think applies to all of this stuff. And lately we've been getting more text scams. I think there's been one now from the DMV. There's all these things that are constantly barraging, and they usually are attacking folks who are less tech savvy or maybe more vulnerable to these kinds of scams. So stay alert, warn your family and friends that more and more of these things are coming. So, Byron, I think with all this talk about pigs, I think I'm gonna go to East Bay Deli and get a ham sandwich for lunch. If you haven't had one of their ham sandwiches, they are fantastic. Very good. Any final takeaways from our Washington, D.C. meetings, Byron?
Yeah, just the scams. We have forewarn as a member benefit that helps with the seller impersonation scam. The insurance, NAR, their staff are working to get lenders and insurers talking to try to figure out a way to make insurance affordable, because that hits affordability of housing when insurance becomes unavailable or unaffordable for homeowners. So that's something that if you've seen, send those stories to us. We can relay those to the National Association of Realtors. So their staff, when they're talking about national lenders and national insurers, trying to figure out some solutions.
You've heard me say, realtors, before that insurance is probably the only thing that really kind of worries me long term for real estate in South Carolina. And that message is spreading across the country extremely fast. The recent storms in Kentucky and Tennessee highlight the fact that these insurance companies are going to continue looking at these weather models and basing their premiums based on those predictions. And I think there's only one way that those premiums go, is up. And so we have to constantly monitor this, we've opened communication with our other coastal states to find common solutions if there are legislative or regulatory things that we can do to address. Those are ongoing discussions. One thing we didn't talk about at all, the MLS Policy Committee put forward a motion to get rid of the no commingling rule. I don't think that any South Carolina MLS had adopted that, at least not currently. And so that will be strictly up to a local MLS to decide how they're going to handle that. If you don't know what the no commingling rule is, we'll put a note in the comments about the NAR's board actions, or you can read more about that there, or you can call the legal hotline, and we're happy to share that with you. So that is a lot of stuff that we've covered today. I know we just got back from the Memorial Day weekend. I thought it was the first day of summer today. Apparently I missed that by, I'm a little ahead of myself. But one note, there's construction going on all over the state, and which is good news. Our highways are being improved. Malfunction Junction here in Columbia is undergoing a massive redirection, or I don't know what the DOT terms are, but they're making it work is the short answer, and reducing the number of accidents. But many of you, I know, do a lot of traveling. Obviously, as realtors, you're in the car. It's your primary or secondary office. And you will likely hit a pothole or some other road imperfection that damages blows out a tire, damages your car. Wanted to put this out there for you so that DOT has a claims website, and I'm going to ask Mike to put one more link in the show notes to the DOT claim website. And keep in mind, a lot of folks think that this only applies to highways, that I-20 or I-95. But remember, South Carolina is one of those rare states where most of the roads are maintained by DOT, not by your city or county or your local government. The majority of roads, South Carolina has more state maintained highway miles than I think the only state that has more is Texas. And Texas is what? 5-6 times our size. I probably have that wrong, but so if you do damage your car, which like I did last year, I actually blew out both tires on the driver's side, hitting a pothole on 95, going to a Hilton Head RPAC event, which I missed that evening. But I was able to file a claim with DOT through their website, provides some proof, some repair invoices, and their insurance compensated me for my loss, and they'll compensate you if your car is damaged on one of their state maintained roads as well. A lot of cities also have their own policy claims center, so you may want to check with your local municipality if your car has been damaged because of a pothole or a poorly maintained road. Unfortunately, I think DOT pays out millions every year in these claims, which they could avoid if their roads were in better condition. So that's my DOT rant. Sorry, Mike. But hopefully some helpful information to all of our realtors. I know Mary Broughton in Sumter today. If you're still hanging on to the end of this podcast, Mary, I know you got a puncture in your tire today, and hope you made it home safe and got that fixed in a timely way. So realtors, stay safe, stay realtor strong, and we will catch up again with you next week. Take care, everyone.